Reverend Bishop McKenna, Reverend Fathers, esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's debate sponsored by Christ the King Latin Center. Our proposition is, resolved, Catholic annulments are fig leaf divorces. In other words, the Catholic Church, which for 2,000 years proclaimed the sanctity and indissolubility of marriage, has, since the Second Vatican Council, granted hundreds of thousands of divorces, albeit under another name. Our panelists standing for the affirmative of the proposition are, to my right, Reverend Father James Wathen, Catholic priest and Knight Chaplain of the Sovereign Order of St. John of Jerusalem, author of 2 studies of the changes in the Church which have affected every aspect of Catholic life. He is ably aided by fellow Catholic priest, Reverend Father Joseph Collins, who has flown in from Jacksonville, Florida to be with us this evening. Father Collins is also professor of philosophy at the Blessed Trinity Seminary in Warren, Michigan. The third member of the affirmative is Mr. Alex Cummings. Alex is a Catholic layman and communicant of St. Anastasius Church in Vienna, Virginia. A graduate of Loyola College, he is clerk of the Appeals Court in Annapolis, Maryland. Standing for the negative of the proposition are Mr. Ben Adams, Catholic layman and communicant of St. Columkille's Church in Brighton. A graduate of Northeastern University, Mr. Adams is a therapist specializing in mediation and conciliation and has taken part in numerous debates in the past. Tom White, a 53-year-old widower, is on the board of advisors of the Catholic Action League of Massachusetts. He is the former host of a radio program on current issues from a Catholic perspective and a former candidate for the U.S. representative seat held by U.S. Rep. Joe Kennedy. The third member is Dr. Greer Gordon, professor of theology at Regis College and host of her own religious show on the Catholic TV network. Dr. Gordon has published many important books in the field of religion. You will notice the shift of opinion ballot handed to you as you entered the hall. Please read it and check off the pre-debate column as indicated. Also, during the course of the debate, if you're so inclined, you may write down in the space provided at the bottom of the ballot sheet any questions on any topic. These will be forwarded to the moderator, who will then direct them to the appropriate party. A brief outline of the format of the debate is as follows. The affirmative will give the first constructive speech for 10 minutes, followed by the first constructive of the negative team. Then the format is repeated for the second and third team members. Then we'll have a 5-minute rebuttal by the affirmative alternate with a counter rebuttal by the negative. This format is also repeated by the second and third team members. Then a member of the negative team presents a 10-minute summation, followed by the affirmative summation. We will then break for 5 minutes, ask you to fill out the post-debate column as indicated, and to pass forward the ballots and any questions to the moderator. We will then open the floor to approximately 40 minutes of questions. Feel free to help yourself to refreshments during the debate. And now we'll open with the first proposition from the affirmative.
Some years ago, when it was a news item and the subject of some discussion in the Indianapolis area, I made an appointment with the officialis of the Diocese of Indianapolis in order to learn for my own information the bases upon which the annulments, whose numbers had skyrocketed across the country, were being granted. As all of you know, until the 1960s, it was a rare thing for an annulment to be granted. All annulments had to be processed by the dioceses here, and then they had to be sent to the Roman Rota. And if I'm not mistaken, the final decision for every annulment had to be approved by the Holy Father. And as I think most of you know, the number of annulments until the 1960s was very small worldwide. We might say that an annulment was such a rarity that few people knew anyone whose annulment had occurred, and it was presumed to be a hopeless request to ask any bishop to grant an annulment. As you also know, practically no request for annulment nowadays is refused. I asked the priest, whose name is Father Easton, I asked him about the change in the approach of the church, which was so radical that, as he told me, that they were required to take any request for an annulment seriously, which is to say that no matter what the history of the case, no matter how long the two had been married, no matter how many children they had had, any request was not turned down, and most of the requests, as you know, are granted. Can you hear me all right? Away from the microphone? All right. Father Easton told me that it was a matter of ascertaining the commitment which the couple had made, one or both,